So let's continue my Nightmare on Elm Street franchise reviews with New Nightmare, which is a meta sequel in which it is based in the real world with actual actors, filmmakers from the franchise, with Freddy Krueger coming out in real life to attack Heather Langenkamp. And this is honestly one of the best Nightmare films, rewatching it, because I love the first three, and I love this one, and then four I think is under these four, and then five I enjoyed, and six I enjoyed even though it was silly, and then this one, just rewatching it again, like, I think it's just as good as the first three. Like, I really do enjoy this one. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I think this might be the best one. Even though I love the first three, it's like this one in a lot of ways has so many spectacular moments in it. The thrills, how it's more dark than all of the films. Like, this is the darkest one, even from the first film, because the first one had silly moments, but I mean, it's supposed to, like, it had its charm. But this one I thought was the darkest one out of all of them, and I love that fact, and I love these characters. I love the fact that this is a movie based in real life, where Heather Langenkamp, who played Nancy, is, like, she starts after Freddy is dead, since the last movie is Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare. Freddy actually becomes a being in the real world and uses her son Dylan as a connective way to come out into the real world. And I thought that was really cool that they used things that reference the other movies, because Wes Craven did see all of these before he made New Nightmare, but then he decided to just make New Nightmare and its own thing and not a sequel to the other ones, because he didn't love the other ones after the first one that he made. So, oh well, did he? And I think he directed the third one, didn't he? Or who directed the third one? Was it him or was it somebody else? Now I'm blanking on that. I don't know, but I just really love the fact that this is a movie outside of a movie. Like, that's just really cool. And other movies have done that. Other horror movies, like Blair Witch 2, did that too, where it's like outside of the real world from this movie that became a phenomenon. And this is really cool that it does it in this. But I like this more than Blair Witch 2. But this just really works on that level. It has a great reopening of the first film, where, like, you know, in the first film it shows Freddy building his glove, but it's in a smaller aspect ratio to the whole screen, and then it zooms in whenever he makes the glove. Well, in this one it just shows somebody making a glove, and it's not smaller aspect ratio, it's just full screen, somebody making the glove. And then it's like you're just thinking to yourself, if you saw this for the first time, it's Freddy making his glove, cutting his hand off, and he chops it off. But then you see it's on a film set, and Heather and her son Dylan are just watching them make this movie. And that was just a cool first time that Wes Craven did this self-aware meta type of movie, because Scream came out 2 years after this in 1996, where he did it to where it's very self-aware. But I like this more than Scream. Like, this one is self-aware in a way where it doesn't, like, ruin it. And Scream isn't bad at all. Like, I do really enjoy all the Scream movies, and they're not bad at all, but it's just, I don't know, they do rely too much on references to horror. But it doesn't like bother me. It's just like, oh, they do that a lot. They just reference horror movies a lot. And in this one, it's not like that. It's just, they're using these real life people that made the movies in this movie, and that's really cool. And I like how it's just a dream that she wakes up, and it's just, and there's an earthquake happening, and there's earthquakes happening throughout the movie. And ever since the last Freddy movie has been made, weird things start to happen. Like, and I love the fact that you realize throughout halfway through the movie that Wes Craven had a dream about this before making the first Nightmare movie, about that there's this thing, evil being, that, like, he wants to keep like contained, and the movies made that happen. So Freddy in this movie is like, he comes out into the real world because the Freddy movies are done. So, like, this Freddy comes out and becomes the demon that haunted Wes Craven, which just sounds really cool. And Wes Craven wrote and directed this, so I really like the fact that he thought all of this up. Like, that's a really cool idea that it was like Wes Craven in this movie, like, dreamt of Freddy, like, had these nightmares of this creature demon, and like it's actually real, and like making those movies kept it self-contained, and then after they ended, it's like he's coming to real life, to the real world. That's really cool. It's just a really cool idea. And apparently they were going to do that in the third movie, but then New Line denied that at first for him coming out into the real world. So I really like that about it. And I liked how this is a very low body count. Like, only 3 people die. Or is it 4? I think 4 people die. Like, the first kill, Chase, Heather's husband, Chase Porter, he dies by Freddy getting his razor glove into him while he's driving. And I love how Heather Langenkamp immediately throughout the movie just has these weird, like, ominous things happen to her, and she's thinking, like, is this real? Like, this is a movie. Like, I was in this movie, making this movie. It's not real. But then, as it goes along, whenever her husband dies, she totally realizes that this is happening. Like, she's not crazy. Like, what is going on? And I really like that aspect about the movie. And I liked how at his funeral there were a lot of actors from the films, like Tuesday Night, the guy who played Rod, and John Saxton. And apparently, if Wes Craven talked to Johnny Depp after this movie was made, and he didn't pluck up the courage to go ask Johnny Depp to be in this scene, and Johnny Depp, apparently after the movie they talked, and he said, yeah, I would have been in it. So it sucks. We could have seen Johnny Depp in the funeral scene too, but that's okay. I mean, he was always busy. Like, he's a big actor, but I'm glad that he would have done that for Wes, though, and would have gone and, like, been in that scene, just that one scene, like, with those other characters, like, actors, like Tuesday Night. Like, she's only in one scene, too. But that would have been cool to see him as well in there. So I like seeing all those actors. Like, that's cool having that connective tissue, like, just with these people involved in the movies. And then I like the fact that when Dylan gets sent to the hospital, Nancy goes and just finds clues and tries to figure out what is going on. Like, she talks to Wes Craven, she talks to Robert Englund. Robert Englund, I like how he just looks at her like, I don't understand. Like, this is a movie. Like, you're having nightmares about me, the character? And I liked how Robert Englund played that as, like, he's thinking, like, this isn't real. Like, I'm playing a character. Why are you so scared of this character that's like me? I like that too, and Robert Englund is great as well. Whenever he's real life actor Robert Englund in this movie. And then Wes Craven, I like the fact that she goes to his house and he mentions the whole thing I mentioned before about how Freddy, there's a real demon entity that Wes had nightmares about before he made the movie, and when he made the movies, or the first movie, the nightmare stopped, and then it became a franchise. And then whenever this Freddy's Dead ended, it's like he's coming to the real world. And I love how Wes Craven in the movie, like, says and describes that's how it works, and how Freddy's going to come out into the real world and be real, because it's a real demon he just had dreams about. Like, that is a really cool way of fictionalizing, like, this story of Freddy Krueger. Like, that's just really cool, that he's a demon in real life, that uses the form of Freddy Krueger. And Freddy Krueger's design in this is awesome. Like, this is the coolest design, I think, out of all the films. I love this design. I think it's the coolest one. He looks more scary, he looks more intimidating, and this is what Wes Craven wanted originally from the first film, this look, and he looks the best in this movie out of all of them. I think so. I think this is his best looking, how he looks with his outfit, how intimidating he looks, and how he sounds. Like, he's the scariest in this movie, Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. But I really like that, and I like the fact that whenever this goes back to the hospital thing, when Dylan gets sent to the hospital because he has all these episodes because he is being sleep deprived and being scared because he's this little kid that Freddy is literally trying to use to bring out to be out in the real world. And whenever he gets sent to the hospital, I love the fact that the hospital people are like, because Heather starts saying stuff around the hospital staff and to her babysitter Julie, like, that Freddy's coming to get Dylan, like he's gonna come get him, and then all these people are like, this is the actress that was playing in the movie as with Freddy Krueger, like this isn't real. So they're thinking that Heather is actually insane. And I like that. That's really cool that it's like a cool interruption where Heather can't save her kid because these people are thinking realistically, like he is, like Freddy Krueger isn't real. But of course in this movie it's made to where he's real in real life. But everybody's like, this actress is going crazy, like she's imagining this person she played with in a movie is real, like, and I really enjoyed that. And I really love the scenes in the hospital. That's great whenever Julie, who is an awesome underrated character, I really liked her a lot, as the babysitter. She's really awesome, and I love the fact that Heather gets kind of pushed away, like, because they think she's crazy. So Julie goes in with Dylan. She knows that something's going on with Dylan, so she, like, punches the nurses, like, who sedate him and, like, try to get Dylan to go to sleep because they don't understand this is really happening. So Julie is stuck in the room with Dylan, and then that's when Dylan falls asleep, Freddy comes out and kills her. But he does the kill like the first movie with Tina, where he drags her up the wall. And it's scarier in this than the first one, and I love that. And I love the fact with Dylan screaming and freaking out whenever that happens. And the actor who plays Dylan, I think his name is Miko Hughes, is really damn good in this. This kid is like 6 years old, and he's damn good. Like, he is really, actually really good in this movie. Really underrated performance from a kid actor. Like, I really liked his performance. And he was another horror too, like Pet Sematary 2, where he was scary in that too. But in this one, he's just, you feel so bad for this kid, and the performance really sells it with this kid, Dylan. And after Julie is killed, Heather, like, they realize, like, the nurses realize, oh shit, like, something's actually happening. So Heather runs away and realizes that Dylan is running across the freeway, because she said a line earlier, which is a cool line, where she's like, if you want to come home, you know where to find me. And he's like, yeah, right across the freeway. And it's such a quick little line that you know it's going to play into effect later, but it's a great line. And that means, and it plays it in her head whenever she runs to the freeway, where she says the same line. And then she sees Dylan going up the hill, going onto the freeway. And that is intense and scary, of them running around on the freeway, literally at night. All these cars, every lane, like 4 or 5 lanes, all these cars are just driving fast as they can. Dylan is dodging and avoiding all these cars, and Freddy, like, saves him to try to get him past it. But Heather goes in onto the literal freeway with Dylan too, and, like, she almost gets killed because, like, a semi flies at her, twists around. It goes right at her, but she's right underneath it. One of those semis where, like, it's lifted up so she dodges underneath it. But that's a fantastic shot of her falling down, ducking, and then the semi goes right past her and she stays right under it. Like, that's a fantastic shot. And then they go home, and then it becomes the first movie, which is cool. It blends real life and the dream world into, like, together. Like, it's really awesome, because John Saxton, Heather gets to come there, and he becomes her dad, Nancy's dad, and she becomes Nancy. And her house, she turns around after John Saxton starts talking like he's her father, like saying, baby, it's alright, I'll get him. And then he leaves, and then she turns around and her house is the house from the first movie. And that's really cool how they connect real world and dream world. And she goes in to find Dylan, and of course she goes into the actual boiler under the sheets, and it's a cool location, and it is so much like Hansel and Gretel in a cool way, because they read the book Hansel and Gretel earlier in the movie, and Dylan remembered it word for word, so it plays into the actual plot. Like, I like how this is a dark version, or a darker version of Grimm's Fairy Tales, because Grimm's Fairy Tales is already dark, but I love that. That's awesome. And then the ending fight is so cool, because the set is so cool. It's so cool having that fight there. Like, that's a beautiful location. And then, of course, they kill Freddy. But it really was just a really good payoff of where they go and how they go into this boiler room. It's creepy. Freddy is creepiest in this movie than all of them. Whenever Dylan hides in that little room, in the boiler room, Freddy grabs his hand, stretches it out, pulls Dylan towards him, and then he says, "I'm going to eat you up like Hansel and Gretel." And then he literally, his mouth gets big and big to where Dylan's head can literally fit in his mouth. And then Heather gets there at the last second and stabs him before he literally eats this kid. And I just thought that was a great way to end it. And I thought that was so awesome that they killed him in that location. That was just a great way to end it. And I love the fact that, again, the movie is meta and weird in a way, but it works, where after they kill Freddy, they're back in the real world, and then they're reading the script that Wes had, and they're saying line for line while not realizing they are, because you see on the script while they're turning the pages, it says the lines that they're saying at that moment. That's really cool. It's literally breaking the fourth wall, where like they're reading this movie script. Like, this is really cool. And it just ends with them reading the script, like, and Wes saying, "Thank you, you set me free, and you have Freddy be gone for good. Now he's gone." So that was just a great way to end it. So overall, like, it's so great with the kills, which we barely have any kills. We have Chase and Julie and the two people working on the movie who die off screen, even though they die in the dream in the beginning, but they die off screen later. The kills are really good. The thrills are good. Freddy's the scariest licking he licks in all of the movies. The acting is fantastic. Heather Langenkamp is the best in this movie. She's good in the other two, but she's the best in this one in terms of her performance. All the actors are great. I love this self-awareness. It works really, really well. And it's really intense, and you care so much for these characters. So I really love this movie, and honestly, I'm going to say it now. I think this is my favorite. I don't care. This one was just rewatching it. It was so fantastic. Really blew me away. So yeah, this one just awesome. Just a great rewatch. I really love this one. And thanks guys for watching. And the next one I will do is the remake. I've already talked about Freddy vs. Jason on this channel, but I haven't talked about the remake, which I'm not excited to talk about. But anyways, the remake's next. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the remake.